Okay, everybody, so welcome to this model called the Sweetspot of Change, which some of you will have seen before, some of you will have seen in my books, whatever. It's a model I put together because I inherited two separate things from two amazing sets of people. The vertical line level of consciousness is adapted from Steve Chandler, my coach, and from him before, a guy called Colin Wilson, who talked about this in his book, excuse me, Frankenstein's Castle. And it basically says that we're going to feel better and we're going to get more great things done in the world when we are operating from as high a level of consciousness as possible, not from any level of fear or anger or cynicism and so on and so forth, but from higher levels of joy, service, and the highest level of consciousness of all, love. So that's the consciousness line. The horizontal line comes from the work of Fernando Flores and Searle and Winegard and Landmark and Est and all of those great people who talk about the use of language that either describes reality or creates reality. Creating reality is the language of promises and requests. Will you marry me is a request that demands a positive answer or a negative answer, either of which is going to change, is going to create a different future from asking the request. So promises, requests, contributions, declarations, invitations, offers, all of these are ways of shaping reality through how we speak and interact with each other. The language on the left-hand side over here is the language of describing, which is all very good and useful at certain times, but it doesn't actually change anything. And description language is language of descriptions, justifications, arguments, reasons, excuses, etc., etc., etc. We need to have discussions in meetings, but nothing actually happens until we move over onto the language of creating, where we make promises and requests of each other. And because we're coming up from a higher level of consciousness, hopefully, we're going to keep those promises because we feel good about the promises that we make. So that's the combination I made out of the speech acts horizontal line and the consciousness level from Steve Chandler and Colin Wilson. And this, obviously, is the sweet spot of change, which I draw with a very badly drawn heart there. And the idea is that we help ourselves and each other rise up here and speak more forcefully here. But this is the threshold point, and it's the place I've worked out where a choice is open to us. If we are rising up here, and we're getting it away from despair about our situation and the world, we get up into this threshold place, and then what happens is that we see a better future. We get a glimpse of a better future. And at that point, we have a choice. And if we continue on the level of consciousness ladder as it's taught, the idea is that we throw ourselves through that threshold into accepting that we can feel good about things, we can feel joy, we notice things around us through gratitude that bring us joy. That feeling of joy we want to not keep to ourselves, but contribute to others through service and so on and so on and so on and so on. So that's one path through the threshold. I've worked out that there's another level which still gets people to this threshold where they see a better future. And the better future they see is not for themselves going up that level of consciousness and what we can do for myself and each other through driving up here and driving out here, but stopping at that threshold and saying, I can get a lot of power by keeping an awful lot of people down here. That's the better future I see for myself. Because all of these people are connected with their fear and their anger and their cynicism and their despair. And this up here feels amazing. This down here will feel good enough if somebody tells us that we are right to feel it. And that's the implication. If we power on through this threshold into a world of contribution and making a difference, then isn't that a great life? And also for some people in the world, the idea that their better future is by controlling others, by keeping them at this level of despair, cynicism, anger, and fear. That's how they contribute to our world.